On the banks of Lake Winnipeg, Nelson Gerard collects and protects photographs from around the world that record Icelandic immigration.
The Immigration Center at Hofsøs provides people with information that is not readily available anywhere else. There are 3 exhibits at Hofsøs. The first exhibit was the story of why the immigrants left and their experiences during the first years. I think it's called New Land, New Life. The second exhibit focuses on the Icelandic settlement in North Dakota, and again explores that with pictures and stories and first-hand experiences. And the third exhibit is one called Silent Flashes, which is the newest. It was set up in 2004. And that exhibit really came about through a long process of collection. Those pictures had been sort of filtering into me at my center here, mostly from people who were just looking to find a good home for their old pictures that didn't mean much to them anymore. The Silent Flashes exhibit covers the time period from 1870 to 1910 approximately, and is a selection of photographs that represent basically the immigrant experience in North America. The process of selecting the photographs was actually very difficult, not because there were so few, but because there were so many. The Silent Flashes exhibit actually consists of more than 400 photographs, some very large, some rather small in the presentation. The categories of photographs came out of an attempt to bring some order to this mass collection of photographic work. Subject matter became the obvious way. Pictures of babies, pictures of newlyweds, pictures of families, pictures of elderly pioneers who had sort of weathered the storm. They are incredible photographs. The caliber of photography during the 1880s and 90s was really surprising. Of the 16 photographers featured in the exhibit at Hofsøs, probably the most important one is Jon Blundell, who was a Winnipeg photographer. He became a little bit of a hero in the story of photography and the pioneers in that he made a real effort to travel out to the settlements and to capture images of many of the pioneer families. When I built this home in 1988-89, I actually established it as the Eyrarbakki Icelandic Heritage Center. The archive I have upstairs has one of the largest collections of genealogical material about things Icelandic here in North America. The only place that the microfilm of the Icelandic ministerial records exists in North America, apart from Salt Lake City, is here. Well, I grew up as a farm boy in western Manitoba with the soil of Manitoba under my fingernails, so no Icelandic input there really. But my mother did always have a few stories, and we had little remnants of culture like the cooking and the odd custom like opening our gifts on Christmas Eve, and we always knew of this connection. And of course, people like to be related to famous people, so we heard that we were related to the explorer Vilhjálmur Stephenson, and that we were descended from a bishop back in Iceland. And these were things that sort of fired the imagination of a prairie boy. I remember sitting down at the kitchen table with my mother and a big piece of paper, and just from her knowledge, we drew up a family tree. The Department of Icelandic had been established at the University of Manitoba in 1951. There I was able to, again, connect with the information about Iceland, about the culture, about the history, etc. And from there it was 3 years at the University of Iceland. Learned the ropes of doing genealogy at the National Archives, and came back to Canada and have been at it ever since. The idea of the exhibit itself was sort of a natural outcome of this collecting process, and The opportunity to present those pictures to the public came with the invitation to work at Hofsøs. I field a lot of questions and inquiries, both from North Americans and people from Iceland as well. The Icelanders, of course, want to know about their relatives who emigrated and what became of them and what their lives were like, and if they have any relatives in North America and how they can find them. People from North America go to Iceland looking for relatives as well, but they are also looking for their ancestral homesteads. They're also looking for genealogical data that will tell them about the past and about their ancestors. There's a stigma attached to the emigration, and there are different reasons for that, but basically it's not viewed as a positive story so much. It was a very beneficial and necessary thing, and it's something that the Emigration Center helps to educate everybody about.
Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4, 2008. The North Dakota Humanities Council, a nonprofit, independent state partner of the National Endowment for the Humanities, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.